Okay, I think we're going to kick off. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Shanahan, and I'm going to be doing a lot of introductions today, but I wanted to just kick off with just a little bit of housekeeping. So if you hadn't already noticed, restrooms are down on the hallway on your left when you come in. There's food. This is BU. We are very informal. And so if you're hungry, get up and eat. And nobody will make faces, I promise. We have 2 breaks. One will be from 10:40 to about 11 o'clock. So if you need a bio break or something, that's a good time. Lunch will be from 1:15 to 2:30. And during that time, the abstracts will be available, and people will be standing at the abstracts to help you understand what they're talking about and to answer questions. And we'll be eating here. We're not leaving this floor for lunch. And then the most important thing is we are extremely tight for time. And the reason is because there are so many incredible people that work at our institution that we couldn't squeeze everybody in. And if anything, we could have done 2 days, maybe even 2.5 days. So things will be very tight. We have time reserved theoretically for questions at the end of each speech, each talk. We're going to limit to 2. I will choose you, okay? And then this will be nice. And it'll be just 2. And that's time limiting. If we start running really far behind, we may have to preclude, and you'll have to speak to the presenter later on, okay? Finally, I just wanted to thank all the people in the CTSI, including Helia and Hubert Wang, Helia Morris and Hubert Wang, who put this together. There'll be more people coming in, so we're going to have a great day today. We have incredible researchers and implementers that are going to tell you about all the amazing things that we do at BMC. We also have guests from University of Vermont, who the CTSI is planning to partner with, and David will tell you more about that. So with no further ado, Dr. Center.
Thanks very much, Chris. Welcome everyone to our 7th annual CTSI Translational Science Symposium. Before I start, I want to make certain to acknowledge Chris and Rick Ruberg, who organizes the day, and please thank Helia Morris and Hubert Wang and all the CTSI staff who did all the work to organize this. And I want to reiterate what Chris said, that during the breaks and lunch hour, please take a look at the poster sessions from the poster boards from the presenters. So this morning's symposium, or today's symposium, is dedicated to talking about addiction science in the context of the opioid epidemic. We started our translational science symposia about 9 years ago through the idea and concepts of David Seldin. And David was one of the founding members of our CTSI in 2008. He squired us through multiple different changes through the structure of our CTSI, and in addition, when we first began to talk about a way in which we would celebrate translational science on this campus and the other campus and the hospital and all the various partners that we have, it was David's idea to create an annual translational science symposium. So we're all gathered here almost entirely because of his hard work at the beginning, and the structure of the day and the way that we celebrate it and the poster sessions and everything else were all David's ideas. David was, of course, also the chief of hematology and oncology at Boston Medical Center for many years, and one of the world's authorities on amyloidosis, having created some of the first transgenic animal models in mice to be able to study potential therapies for that disease. We lost David to our family a couple of years ago to prostate cancer, and I think the world is poorer for his passing. What I wanted to make certain also is to thank Dr. Elizabeth Homan, his for sharing her husband with us for all these years. And it's been a pleasure to have David part of our symposium. This morning, I'd like to, in a second, introduce Michael Botticelli. About a year ago, we started to talk about forming this symposium, and serendipitously, the Graken Institute was endowed almost exactly at the time that we began the discussions. So it was a natural for us this year to partner and have a first symposium for the Graken and our annual symposium coincide. And I want to acknowledge the true bidirectional and partnership in generating the speakers for today and the symposium for today. You will hear from policymakers. You will hear from scientists. You will hear from the director of NIDA, Nora Volko, as our plenary session speaker. And at the end of the day, Senator Markey will talk about some of the national implications and his insights into the opioid crisis and addiction science. So what I encourage you all to do is enjoy the day and enjoy the speakers, and I certainly will. And I'd like Michael to say a few words about the symposium.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, David. So in the spirit of keeping us on time, I'll keep my comments brief. But I do want to thank Dr. Center and his staff here for the extraordinary partnership in putting on today's event and for really focusing on the most pressing health issue of our generation. As Dr. Center said, I think what the extraordinary piece about the symposium is that it brings together researchers, educators, policymakers, healthcare leaders, practitioners to really illuminate cutting-edge research to deal with this issue. And I also want to thank, and she's on her way, Dr. Nora Volkow for being here today and for her ongoing leadership and support on this issue. As many of you know, there's been an extraordinary amount of work happening in Washington these days as it relates to the opioid epidemic, and with a hearing, there's hundreds of bills in Congress. And so for her to extract herself from what's happening in Washington and coming up here to be with us today, I think speaks to not only her dedication, but her value and support of the work that happens across the academy here as it relates to addiction. So we're really glad. I think many of us were checked our phones late last night and first thing in the morning to see if she was coming. So let's just assume that she's caught in Boston traffic. So as many of you know, and as David talked about, the Graken Center was established a little over a year ago with a history-making gift to establish the history-making gift of the Graken family. It acknowledged the depth and breadth and talent of the research, education, and clinical innovation that happens at BMC every day. None of that would have happened without the extraordinary and inspirational leadership of Kate Walsh, who, unlike many institutions that have not historically paid attention to issues of substance use disorders, BMC under her leadership has. And I am very, very proud to be part of the BMC team. But this gift also called on us to do more. And while the center has a formal mission statement, we are called to action by the mandate of our donors to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And it's with that mandate that I welcome you here today. And I have often paraphrased comments that I have heard Dr. Volkow say many times, and that while we need to accelerate our research and practice on substance use disorders, that should not prevent us from implementing all of the things that science has already proven to prevent and effectively treat this disease. The question she often asks is, do we really have, the question that we really have to answer, and the question that she challenges us is, do we have the leadership, resources, and the will to do it? And I know that I speak for at least everyone in this room when I give an emphatic yes to that question. So thank you, everybody, for being here today, and I look forward to the day ahead. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. K.Antman, the Provost and Dean of the Medical Center, to give first perspectives on the day. Thanks very much, Karen.
Welcome to the CTSI Symposium. In the current era of concerns about budgets and reflections and regulations impacting clinical care, We need to remain focused on one of the major reasons why we remain involved in academic medicine, the opportunity to conduct research. The clinical translational research environment that's provided by our CTSI facilities and their ability to move discoveries between bench and bedside supports this mission and provides support for exceptional care without exception. So we really appreciate and want to thank Dr. Center and his team and the infrastructure of the CTSI that they provide. And some of you will see the impact of their efforts in the symposia today. Needless to say, overdoses and substance use disorders are major public health problems. It's perhaps the major public health problem today. Our faculty are at the cutting edge of this field. I hope that within the day we not only describe the research that's underway, but also come away with some interventions that we can do for the next level of addressing this social issue. It's not enough to just describe the problem. We have to figure out what's the next step and what will this institution, our faculty, our students, our staff contribute to resolving this issue. Thank you. David, thank you.
It's also a pleasure to welcome and introduce Kate Walsh, the CEO of the Boston Medical Center Health System. Kate.
Thank you, David, Dr. Center, and to the staff at the CTSI. Thank you for organizing this day. Michael Botticelli and the Reagan Center as well. We're really delighted to be here. We're very honored that we will be joined by Dr. Nora Volkow, who's the director of the National Institutes of Drug Abuse. As many of you know, it was Dr. Volkow's groundbreaking research that cemented our understanding of addiction as a disease. NIDA supports most of the world research on substance use disorder, much of it happening right here on this campus. Some of the work that's represented, that's funded, you can see on the poster boards in the back, and will be featured in today's symposium. So NIDA is a key partner in our work. NIDA funds the Center for Health, Economics, and Treatment Interventions for Substance Use Disorder, HCV, and HIV. It also supports our Chief Resident Immersion Training Program that happened just last week. NIDA also supported the development of several young investigators, funding our K-23 Career Development Awards for several Graken faculty. Our clinical addiction research and education center, CARE, continues to receive annual support for NIDA for research and training efforts. So there's a theme here. We couldn't do the work we do without the strong support of NIDA. We're very delighted that Nora Volkow will be joining us so we can thank her in person and we can hear about her tremendous work as well. BMC has a long history of innovative research and clinical practice, advancing our understanding of substance use disorder, all of it focused on our mission to provide exceptional care without exception to all our patients. And we're creating models that can be shared with patients locally, nationally, and even internationally. We're very honored by the tremendous gift of the Graken family, which is really accelerating the work that's already happened on our campus. And we do need to speed it up because there is no more urgent issue than the current crisis we see all around us. We have an obligation to our patients, to families, to everyone, to our communities to fight this devastating epidemic. Because of NIDA's support, we know a lot about effective prevention and treatment strategies, and we've identified highly effective treatment and overdose prevention medications. The goal of today's event and all our work on this campus to shorten the time between research and practice, to be a laboratory for innovation for the patients that we serve, and we're committed to doing our part to end this epidemic. I'm very proud to be part of this institution, our hospital and our university, all the ways the researchers and the clinicians on this campus come together to contribute and to really provide hope. Thank you again to the organizers of this session. I think it's going to be a terrific day. David, thank you to you and your team. It's a great lineup. I'm sorry I can't stay for it, but I'm actually filibustering so I don't have to go to the audit committee, which is where I'm supposed to be right now. But I will have to step out for that. I'll be back later. But this is just a tremendous lineup of speakers and a very fitting tribute to our friend Dave Seldin. So thank you.